Well, hello. Hey, Joe.
Hey, I'm not sure how the
Hey, Kevin.
angel eggs are
Oh,
because
because they're
the light's
downstairs.
off. Well, the light's off too.
My poor fish have to live a backwards life.
Oh, lights on during the night?
Yeah, when I'm up.
Nothing wrong with that?
And they think it's time to eat, bozos. You know,
Detriment other than my head hurting? Nothing.
well, I finally found my cervical collar, so I'm feeling a lot better, although I am so sore.
I'll trade you.
I didn't get half the stuff done today I was supposed to, so I get to do it all tomorrow.
Hmm.
And I got a chair that's way too big. But such is life.
Like I said, I'll trade you. I slipped on ice down the stairs and cracked my skull open.
Oh,
Yeah, spent most of the day in hospital yesterday.
did they stitch you or did they staple you?
Staple,
Ah,
which I used the wrong word yesterday. I said they gave me stitches, and it wasn't. They stapled it.
yeah, staples look pretty gnarly. I told my neurosurgeon that I posted a picture of the back of my neck after my surgery, and he said, please post it after you heal picture because it'll look so much better. And I was like, yeah, it won't be black and blue and green and have big staples in it. But no 5 hour stream, and I gotta get some sleep. Well, both my parents have conceded to my dad was funny. Um, he was like, what am I going to talk about? And I said, you're a rocket science, a nuclear laser physicist, a herpetologist, a guy who knows about spiders, snakes, ran Boy Scouts, wrote science fiction way before my mom did. And then there was like silence on the phone. And he said, okay, I'll concede. I'm cool. ASGRB. So, yeah. He was like, you really think your friends would like to talk to me? And it's like, yeah, you bet. I like talking to you. So I just have to pin him down. And I got Pubface. I have to pin him down on a date.
Yeah, I got my brother to come in. I don't think I would be able to get any of them on stream.
Boy, your camera's taking a dump.
Yeah. Clean the camera lens. It looks like,
What?
I'm guessing maybe fingerprints or something all over the lens. It looks like Vaseline almost.
Hey, that's a secret special effect.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, your color's off. Oh, internet.
Yeah, I think it's my internet strength. Internet's been really weird and extremely annoying.
But yeah, so Pubface is going to do our cop watching stream.
Hmm.
I like him. He's nice and mellow.
Yeah, see, Joe, it's already 8:30 here, and I think my mother already took a shower.
Well, my discus are spawning, and I have 2 males and a female, but they're not fighting. They just take turns wooing her.
Wait, what?
Wait, who?
Since
Who?
when do you have Discus?
I don't. Oscars.
Who is Discus?
Holy shit, man.
You said
Maybe I'm going to go into
Discus.
the doctor again tomorrow.
That
I could have
bad?
sworn you said
Yeah,
Discus.
she said discus.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm
And it's not
reading
your
and
hearing.
talking at the same time.
It's not your hearing, okay, Roundhouse? It's
No, I thought it was my head.
Oh no, you're fine. For now.
You scared me.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
I could have sworn. I was so confused.
Oh, wow.
Thank you,
Whew.
Chewy.
And I'm not thinking, I'm in pain.
Well, no, when you said Oscars after the Discus, I'm like, am I hearing like cross, is my hearing cross-wired now?
Well, it's like,
Go back into the hospital and have them do a brain scan or something.
yeah, that's what I need. No, I get to go have all my blood drained out tomorrow morning.
You said
So,
you said your discus were spawning, and we
Yeah.
were really confused
No.
She meant to say Oscars.
because all three of us heard you say discus, and we were all really perplexed.
I'm like, at first, the first thing that ran through my mind was, damn, you want that OR unit quick. If they're, if you had Discus and they were already
How are
breeding.
you doing? How are you doing, Roundhouse? Are you doing all right?
In pain.
Well,
Yeah, but I don't need a RO unit. Hey,
I'm-
Ian.
So I'm having a problem.
Yeah. You
I'm
need
putting
an RO.
I'm putting in a Ken's fish order tomorrow.
I offered to have it sent to.
Oh, okay. Whatever you said.
No, you said I have a problem. I'm putting in a Ken's fish order.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't let me finish.
You're putting a
I'm
Ken's
putting
fish
in
order
a Ken's
in?
fish order in, and I can't find enough stuff to make it worthwhile.
Oh, man, I never have a problem. I just order lots of different kinds of food. Well, my Oscars are thinking about spawning. I have 2 males and a female, and the 2 males are taking turns going up to her and, like, wagging their tails, like they vibrate them. No, I'm not going to get Discus. No more raising babies.
Food wise,
I'm definitely a
Okay, Joe, I have a question.
African
Why don't
cichlid person. I'm going to put all my guppies in this, probably maybe the 40, and then I'll have the Danios and Tetras community tank, and everything else is cichlids of various sorts. I'm going to take the platies to the pet store as soon as his water is cycled.
because really the Ken's order I'm putting in is mainly for Airstones. Those cleanable Airstones.
Yeah.
Because I got to get the 20 high running again because the breeder pair, and I took its airstone away.
Cleaner, or you mean never clogged airstones?
No, the cleanable airstones, the ones that unscrew
Oh,
with the weight in them, the
got it.
plastic ones.
Yeah, I have a bunch of those that I got with the guppy, the 20 longs and the 20 highs. They each came with
Okay,
two.
I have a question for Joe. Why doesn't Joe just separate the males and females? Wouldn't that make it a lot easier? Or are you worried about that the males will attack each other? I'm confused why you don't just separate them if you're so worried about them laying eggs all the time.
Well, the only one of my cichlids that survive are the strongest. So
I don't think anyone really cares or worries about their discus
on that
breeding.
question for Joe. You don't want to disrupt the pair.
Yeah.
But Joe just said that he doesn't want them to
just
breed.
cause them to be unbonded again. And then they have to go
Yeah,
through
okay,
the
that's true.
process of bonding up again. And who knows, they might not.
That's true.
yeah, I'm waiting to see which male she chooses before I take out the other male. That's what I didn't get.
Yeah, I just had my
And that
I
occurs
just had
with
my
all
parents
of your
restock
cichlids
on-
that have got bi-paternal type of raising for their fry.
And I'll have a really nice tank for my Kilbornies.
Okay, Joe. As long as you're going to soon, because they've been breeding like crazy they've been breeding like crazy lately.
I think everything's breeding like crazy.
Whereas you can keep males, Africans, and females away from each other and give the females a rest. And you will have no problems because they're harem breeders. But fish that generally pair up, so called for life, you're dealing with many, many different variables. You can separate that pair and cause them to hate each other and kill each other.
You can move that pair to a different tank and also do the same thing.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen. Just moving them from tank to tank can screw them up.
exactly. You don't want to disturb those parents.
I mean, when I move the angels, it's going to be probably 2 months before they breed again.
No,
That's why I like my
and they
harem.
will probably hate you for the first month.
Yeah.
It's like, just give me all the females and I'm a happy boy.
That's what most guys say. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not sure when, Chewy, but my dad has consented to be on the stream.
Oh, okay.
I asked him about it, and he was like, well, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know about fish. And I said, no, Dad, you can talk about, you're a rocket scientist, a nuclear laser physicist, and
That's right.
associate dean. You taught me about snakes and spiders. I said, you're the cool dad.
That's right.
So,
All dads are cool, man. My dad had this passion for photography.
oh yeah, we used to go in. I have my dad's enlarger. And I remember going into the dark room, 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000.
You have
4
an
1,000.
enlarger?
Yeah.
Is
And
it a black and white or color?
Right now, Chewy.
I think it's black and white. I'm not sure.
Hey,
Want
Sherry.
to sell it? I
Pay
would
for
love to
shipping.
have an enlarger. They're hard to find. They don't make them anymore.
There's a lot of things they don't make anymore, sadly.
Yeah, pretty much anything for film.
Now, my mom yells way louder than my dad. My dad's hey, Sherry, my dad's that, like, really cool, mellow, absent-minded professor. And I remember him yelling once. And he said, both of you, go to your rooms. And my mom stood there with a shit-eating grin on her face. And he said, my dad goes, Sonny, I told you to go to your room. And she said, but I'm the mom. And he said, I don't give a damn. And it was like, right on, Dad. So I walked downstairs with a big smile on my face, and my mom pouted going up the stairs because we had like this split level. Wow. Yeah, well, I have to wait until my back heals.
How big of a tank do you have, Poeseewi, for your Oscars?
Huh?
How big of a tank do you have for your Oscars?
Right now they're in a 65 high.
Oh, God. You need
I'm-
bigger tanks than that.
Oh, yeah, well, that's why I got the 150.
You're going to need one bigger than that.
Well, I figure if I have two in one, and then I'll get, if I could find another big.
Generally speaking, a lot of Oscar people think 150 gallons per fish.
That's
And
goofy.
I'm in full agreement.
Well, I'm working on it. They're only I'm really surprised they're spawning because nobody's bigger than 7 inches right now.
Oh, they can start young.
The dimensions on the 60, I guess
But
it's
if you go to something like a 240, you can be able to raise their fry with them for a longer period of time too.
yeah. Well, we're working on it.
You got to take a lot of things into consideration with bigger cichlids.
Well, I actually found a way to get an affordable fish room. Actually, much cheaper than a storage container, and it may help. Storage containers run about $4,000 now. If you buy them, I'm getting a 10 by 40 foot semi trailer for
I'm
27.
not saying that 150 gallons won't work, but the issue is you have to remove fry a lot sooner than you will in a 240. And a lot of people that I have talked to and I've seen ever since I was like a kid suggest a bigger tank than a 150 with breeding Oscars. You look at the guys who are doing it right out there on YouTube. You look at Thirsty Rabbit, his tanks are huge.
The 150 is 72 by 18 by 28.
That's on the light side.
Yeah, that's the main reason I don't have cichlids, because I can't have that big a tank.
Well, I'm working on
Like, at the wholesaler where I worked at, we had an 8-foot by 2-foot by 2-foot Oscar tank, which is 240 gallons. And my boss would not put them in anything smaller. He
Yeah,
wanted
Oscars
something
need
like
about 75
500
gallons per
gallons.
fish.
Put them in a 5-gallon Poeseewi. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not all cichlids need a tank that size, but when you're talking like a 14 to an 18-inch fish when full grown,
Yeah, the rule of thumb is you want it
No,
like, what is it,
Ian's
6 inches
Ian's
more than the length of the fish
Ian's
deep,
responding.
Yeah.
so they can turn around.
I
Like,
think Ian's responding to my.
a
I think
75
Ian's
gallon,
responding to
they
my
can't
comment.
really turn around it when they're
But
at
Chewy,
full
I think Ian's talking about my comment, not about the Oscars. I said that's the reason I don't have very many cichlids, because I don't have the room, and I don't have very big tanks.
Well, I realize where Ian's
And I think
stating
Ian's
that. I'm a
all
believer
that
in
big.
small cichlids myself.
Dude, you could have a hell of a cichlid collection.
The big cichlids is because you needed such a big tank for them. I'd rather have my 240 was like 2 different breeding colonies of fish.
Oh, I mean, shit, I use 55 gallons for my cichlids.
Yeah,
Then again, they're not Oscars, though.
exactly.
So I got a
used
question for Chewy.
10-gallon tanks for cichlids too.
Chewy, Mr. Camera, Mr. Photography, what's your views on the Pentax K7D?
Is it a digital?
Yeah.
I don't like digital cameras.
It's a 40 some odd megapixel 1080p video mirrored camera.
Yep.
And it's like $700 for the
What's the
body
difference
and the like 35 to 200 millimeter lens, something like that.
Exactly.
What's the difference
And that's
between a
like
mirror?
a lot of guys will suggest 150 gallons.
A mirrored camera is when you're looking at the object, you're actually looking at the
That
object.
factor. You know, like you can keep certain things in minimum gallons. Does it mean that they're happy?
A non-mirrored camera is you're looking at a TV.
You have to give them things to do too.
Should put some
I'm
hula
confused.
hoops in it so
What's
they
the
can swim through it.
difference?
A mirrored camera
Tongue
is
balls.
the
I
visual.
get to see an 18-inch Oscar turn around in a 75-gallon tank too.
Well, how deep is a 75? I
It's
can't
not
remember.
the depth, it's the width.
Oh yeah, because a 75. A 75 is what? 3 feet or 4 feet?
A 75 is 4 feet by 18 inches, I do believe.
Except for mine, which
Okay.
is 4 feet by 13 inches and really high, but it was custom made. So
Yeah. And you're talking about an 18-inch fish to turn around in that?
Yeah.
oh no, they're going to be
No. Geez, I can't even swim one length of
going
my
in
body in
150
that area.
But they're not full grown yet. She's going
Yeah,
to
but you
move them.
prepare yourself for full grown.
You know how hard it is to move a full 18-inch Oscar?
You know
It-
how many deaths happen when you move old fish?
Yeah. Honestly, it is best to just put them in the final tank. It's not good to hopscotch tank sizes. Just if you get the biggest tank you can, which in Poeseewi's case is a 150, and just put them in it and leave them in that. But to answer your question, Kevin, a mirrored camera is you're literally looking at the object via refraction and reflection. A non-mirrored camera is there's a video camera in the lens, and it projects a picture on a screen. So in essence, you're looking at a TV.
And that was along the thoughts of my
okay.
boss going, 240 is kind of too small for the spare. I want to get them up to a bigger size of tank. And I'm going, really? And he was going, yeah.
We need to go to Poeseewi's house and build her a plywood tank.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I can't do that. I'm like a cripple now. But that's how I made my big tanks. I wrote
Yeah.
in 1 feet of glass.
No, it doesn't matter if you're late. You didn't even answer me. This is my friend Ghost Rider. He lives in, northern Colorado. Had some way too close pictures of the fire. He's one of my cop watching friends. So if anybody wants to know why, I guess it's Roundhouse and I are the crazy ones who cop watch. Oh, I didn't see it. Maybe it went into spam.
Cribs would be good for Kevin.
Cribs would be the best for Kevin.
Yeah. In his water, they would be hard to kill.
Or fire mouse. Fire mouse along the same size of cichlid, that would teach Kevin a lot. But with cribs, you can keep plants. With fire mouse, you can't.
Yeah.
But generally, that kind of fish, yeah. I agree.
You can do you can do them in a 20 long, just a pair.
Yeah. And you can also do a pair of fire mounts in a 20.
I wouldn't do them together.
No, but just a pair you could do.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody gets to scoot over.
And in Kevin's case, cribs would be probably the best due to his water parameters.
Yeah.
I have my guest here, guys.
I think he would do good with Bichardies and daffodils also.
Oh, I love your yellow labs.
Oh, yeah, yellow labs.
Julies are a nice small cichlid too. I kept pairs in a 20-gallon tank.
Yeah.
Depends on your water parameters. The fish you choose.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so in a minute we're changing subjects.
Okay.
Uh-oh. What now?
Cop watching and First Amendment stuff.
Oh.
Because I had a bunch of questions on how come Roundhouse and I do cop watching. What's all this First Amendment stuff? Why is it? So, yellow labs are always buttholes. That's why I like.
Speaking of, did you see Long Island Audit's video from a couple days ago?
I think so.
Oh, you would not believe how wrong this cop was. Holy cow. When he was in the city hall?
Yeah.
Oh my god. The cops were trying to say if the government employees in the city hall say not to take their picture, you can't take their picture. That's totally wrong.
Oh, well, I always like the it's private. The sidewalk is private property.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
EIS. Because there was that one case where the sidewalk was private property. The city built the sidewalk and half of the cul-de-sac on private property. And it's like, You know, you would think that the city would know better, but of course
Hey.
not.
What's the word I'm looking for? X amount of feet from the center line of the road. What's that called again?
The easement.
Yeah, the easement is the easement.
Well, I find it ridiculous that you, as a cop, are allowed to charge someone with the DUI without any proof. To me, is ridiculous.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Oh, 300 gallons for $100? No, I
A
would
cop,
prove it out.
if a cop is certified, if a cop is certified and thinks that you're driving under the influence and smoke marijuana, you can get a DUI for it.
No, he has
But
to
they
have
don't.
proof.
No, they
Yeah, they do.
don't.
There actually are now
For-
field sobriety tests for under the influence.
But yeah, that would be a proof. That would be a chemical test.
Yeah, I know.
The cop can't just pull you over and go, "Oh, you're drunk or you're high. I'm arresting you." He has to have some kind of proof.
Hey, Aqua Garden,
Uh,
Otherwise, they could lose their qualified immunity and get the crap suit out of them.
I'm pretty sure that they've done it, and there was one cop that did it like
Just because they do
30
it doesn't
times,
mean they
and
can't.
at least 8 of them are
see, that's
they. Well,
sort of the whole reason for cop
The-
watch.
Yeah,
And it really is amazing when you start watching these guys. Like, there's one girl, Jody Cat. She drives up now in Inglewood, and half the time the cops stop what they're doing and they just leave.
yeah. I can't. I've been trying to find out what Inglewood is she in. Is that California or Illinois?
California.
Oh, okay. At first, I thought it was the Inglewood in like Chicago, Illinois. And then
Well,
the more I watch her, and the more I don't recognize any of the places she's at. So I've been wondering.
Yeah, she's in California.
But yeah, the more you watch and the more you know, the more you realize how crooked cops are. Holy cow!
They had one guy who pulled somebody over, and he had a body camera and it was on, and they requested his body camera, and it showed him planting drugs in this girl's.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
remember
watched
that
that, and the judge was questioning him on, and he's like, "Well, I just threw the baggie on the ground," and she's like, "Why? If it was in your hand, it should be in evidence." Ends
Just-
up the baggie that was in his hand is the one he quote unquote found.
Okay, let's see. This is my most awesome friend, and I'll explain a little bit about what I look for. I don't like the guys who, I don't like the guys who cuss at the cops, who incite the cops, who, I mean,
Oh,
Not
like that one
listening
Mexican
to them.
dude in Arizona? I can't stand him.
I mean, there's a lot of people who I personally think deserve to be arrested. Now, this is a cool cop watcher. He doesn't get in the way. He's polite. He's nice. I respect what he does. He gets great pictures. He's also a stringer, which means he gets pictures for the newspapers and TV stations. But I do have a lot of respect for him, and I've learned a lot from watching him. So, what got you into cop watching?
Hang on.
Okay.
There we go. Making sure my YouTube is closed on it. There we go. What got me into cop watching? Having my own rights violated multiple times. Seeing other people's rights being violated all the time. And nothing getting done about it.
So have you noticed a change in the area since you've been cop watching?
For the areas that I watch, yeah, kind of. Where I live here in Brighton, I hardly see them acting out or misbehaving at all. Actually, I consider one of the better police departments that I do go and watch. Adams County seemed to have gotten better, but that might just be because they got to know me and when I'm present, that they're not misbehaving like I've heard, in previous times. So other people, but what the way they're treated. But other cities, there's a lot of bad cities out there for the way they behave towards the public. If you had watched my Westminster one, where they put me in handcuffs, claiming I was obstructing, well, I've had dealings with them before. They're one of the worst for violating your rights, you could say. So it just depends from city to city, county to county, how bad they can be.
One of the worst ones I've ever seen. I can't think of the town. It was in Texas, and they said they were going to have a press conference. So everyone showed up.
Leon Valley.
Yeah, and the cops walked out and arrested everybody that came to the press conference.
Yeah, that was Leon Valley.
That's what it was.
Joe Salvaggio was the chief of police then. He's no longer chief of police. He got fired.
Because of that?
Among other things, yes.
Okay. Because I wanted to look into it. I just haven't, because it was on YouTube and then it just, nothing else.
Well, there's a lawsuit pending on it, so they can't say anything about it, really, because there's no news on it, for one, and another is it's because it's pending. So they can't really talk about it at all. But Justin Pulliam has been covering news down there for quite a while for the council meetings and everything, how they've gotten rid of a bunch of the council members and have finally gotten Joe Salvaggio out of the city for being the chief of police. They ended up getting him fired through these actions of changing who's in power in the city council.
Okay, Visine, what we're talking about is First Amendment audits and cop watching. And it is an important thing. This is my friend who lives up around the Denver area. And I like his style. He doesn't yell at the cops and stuff. I have a problem with those type of people because if you're there to observe, in my opinion, you should observe and not get in the way. Okay, and Ed says, do you just watch cops or other forms of public service?
For a lot of the time, I'm out there doing news events. So when I first started out, I was doing more of running around with Eric Brandt, who did like yelling at the cops. So that was always interesting being with him. But I wasn't usually yelling at the police myself. That didn't stop the police from labeling me as hostile towards police, so even though I hardly ever yelled at him. But Eric being in jail now, and I've been out on my own for quite a while now, I did a lot of cop watching, more than auditing than anything else, and news events. So I was always on scenes with the police there. And I learned one thing when you're recording them is you don't get very far if you're yelling at them or trying to gain information, especially when it's a news event. So yelling at them does nothing, at least for me.
Yeah, he's had some good interaction with fire departments, and he's taken some really nice video of the life flight emergency helicopters.
Who has?
You.
No, oh, the Flight for Lives that
Yeah.
have landed on the highways. Yeah, I can't
still,
always get close to them, but got the best video that I could. Still warming up the Jeep here. It's a little chilly.
well, I hope that you don't have COVID, Aqua Garden. No. Our friend Chewy says, for the name Ghost Rider, do you do ghost stories or just a journalistic name of a hidden character?
I've had the nickname Ghost Rider for, I don't know, 20 years probably. I used to do moderating on what was ICQ. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. It's chat rooms. Started out as the name ICQ, and it was purchased by AOL. So AOL owned the chat rooms for ICQ, and I was a moderator on there for quite a while. So that's where I had that nickname from, and I just kept using it.
Well, it works. I always figured it was because you're also a streamer, so
Yeah. The meaning of a ghostwriter being an anonymous writer. So as a stringer, you are anonymous because they don't really credit you for your work. They just purchase your work and use it. So you rarely get credit for the work that you've done for doing it.
I don't know. That's a good idea. Chewy ghost stories. We can do that. But so does anybody have questions? Like why we're so interested in watching the cops besides because I mean a lot of these people have been doing it way before Joy.
I must say that I've watched cops for quite a while. I saw what happened down in LA.
Hey Patrick.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that happens in LA
around the time when they were beating up on black people.
Oh.
Okay? I saw some of that in the 80s.
Well, it seems to be getting worse.
I have got no problems with people watching police. But I must say one thing about the LA Police Department. They saved a guy's life on Sunday from getting bulldozed by an Amtrak train that couldn't stop.
Oh, that was amazing. There was the plane that landed on the railroad tracks.
Crashed.
Yeah.
Didn't land, it crashed.
Yeah, it crashed.
Yeah. That was amazing.
They pulled his ass out just in time. And did you see it from the second camera view down the street? That wing, man, it almost took the cameraman's head off.
It's getting press up here in Canada.
It should get press everywhere.
Which is a lot different for American police up here in Canada. We see a lot of the stuff that is happening in the United States. Believe me, our media covers it big time.
So I have a question. What is your view and your legality view on encryption, Ghostwriter?
On the encryption of their radios,
Yeah.
uh, I don't like it because it means they're not being transparent. They have the means to encrypt their tactical channels if they
Yep.
wish, which most of them had that capability.
Yeah, to begin
But
with.
they're choosing to encrypt all of their channels and hiding all traffic. So for being transparent, they're not being transparent at all at that point.
Oh, we need you up in Rockford, man. Guess what? This is what Rockford's doing. They're fully encrypted for one.
Yeah,
And for two, 90% of the FOIA requests they deny.
yeah. It's because they're hiding what they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know what's going on. If you heard the radio traffic that is going on, you'd know how bad it is out there for the policing for what they're doing, and knowing that they're doing is wrong.
Rockford PD.
They're discussing arresting somebody a lot of the times, and several times people that have had live streams running that have been arrested and they failed to shut down the live stream. You can hear the police talking during that, and they would be conspiring, and the stuff that they're saying is just completely wrong as to how you would think that police would handle a situation. So
That reminds me of the one where he was arrested and the camera was still live streaming in the evidence bag.
yeah,
And they had to call the cops and say, dude, you're still on stream.
yeah,
And while they were in
That's
the jail.
that's happened several times.
They were totally talking shit.
Oh yeah, that's what they do. They don't want us to know it, though. That's the problem.
I remember his name. They were joking about how do you handcuff a one-armed man.
Yeah, that guy. No, it was before that. That was the second one.
I mean, it's sort of scary.
The first one was the kid up in Michigan, Michigan Guardian.
I was going to say, I thought it was a young guy.
Minnesota Guardian, sorry. Minnesota
A skinny
Guardian.
kid, right? He was skinny.
He's kind of a chubby guy.
No, this one was a white skinny dude. Younger.
Well, it's happened so many times, but that happened to be one of the more famous ones that happened, because they even put it into like a cookie tin to keep it from broadcasting out, and it was still broadcasting out. So they were doing everything they could to stop the stream, and they couldn't. So, but I know at least 3, 4, 5 times that's happened. So they don't want to be heard when, they expect that they can talk their trash. And they look really bad when people find out about it, especially, when it gets released to the public. I mean, it doesn't even have to be somebody that's live streaming. How about the footage from the Loveland Police Department from when they arrested the lady with dementia that they had off her arm?
Oh, man. They got the
one,
shit suit out of them for that.
Yeah, they did. And the trash that they were talking, and the fact that, they're saying on their report that there was no injury prior to her being sent to the county jail. But then they're talking about it right there on the spot that, I heard her arm pop, her shoulder pop, and knew right then, and then lying on the report. So they're getting caught in their own lies by their own videos. On top of that, that's the stuff that they don't want you to see. So they don't want you to hear it. They don't want you to see it. They don't want you to know how bad it is. So it just depends on where you're at as to how bad it can be. I mean, for all I know, there could be things going on here where I live in Brighton that I'm not aware of that are bad. It's just that when they see me, they're on their best behavior. Seems like.
Now,
So,
is your area encrypted?
Brighton, no.
Lucky.
Brighton is not encrypted. Northland is not encrypted. Commerce City is not encrypted, and Federal Heights is encrypted. Adams County itself, the sheriffs, they went encrypted a little bit over a year ago. I used to follow them quite a bit.
One of the first systems to go encryption in Illinois was Northwest Central Dispatch because of me.
Well, I have a feeling that Adams County went encrypted because of me. Their behavior to begin with towards me when I was out there first recording them, they had to pay me money for interfering with my recording.
Mm-hmm.
They paid me twice at $500 each for using their lights into my camera intentionally.
Yeah, and it's shocking that they still do it. How many cops have been busted for that? The Supreme Court has heard that case, and they still do it.
Well, the difference is here in Colorado, it's law. You don't even have to rely on the Constitution for it. It's Colorado law. So
my favorite one was
say that, oh, it's a case law we never heard of. No, it's on the Colorado revised statutes in the law books that they should know better. You know?
My favorite instance of that was Freedom to Film when he was in that house and they were doing the raid across the street.
Yeah.
And they parked the car right in front of the house and took their spotlight and shined it in the house he was in.
Yeah. They do it a lot. And they get away with it a lot. A whole lot. A lot more than they should. There's multiple times where they've done it to me where they've gotten away with it. I made claims on it and they denied it.
Years and years ago, I was driving down the highway and I get pulled over and, can I search your car? And sure, go ahead. And afterwards, she admits, I pull over all police cars. All ex-police cars. And I should have said, oh, so you're admitting to your profiling.
Yeah. Well, who buys a police car except a criminal, right?
I bought it because it was cheap and they're awesome. They're heavy-duty cars.
Yeah.
Those things will last forever.
Seem like it, yeah.
And the 4.6 V8 doesn't even start getting broken into until 100,000 miles.
They don't even sell them until they're over 100,000. Come on.
Oh no, the one I bought was 90,000 when I bought it. I mean, not that much difference, but it was an ex-Michigan car. I picked a car that no department had, so they can't say I'm trying to be like them. I had a 8-foot CB antenna off of it. What cop do you know in Chicagoland uses the 27 megahertz band anyway? None.
Depending on what year it was.
99.
So what is your advice for people who get pulled over for iffy circumstances?
Don't say anything to the damn cops.
Pretty much. Don't answer questions.
Don't answer questions.
Your first question will be, you know why I pulled you over? So whatever you respond with, they're going to use against you if they have to go to court. So, I was going too fast. I'm sorry, officer. Oh, there you go. You just admitted speaking. Do you know how fast you were going?
I'm sorry, officer. I don't answer questions.
Then they want you to answer that so that you tighten that noose around your neck so you have no chance at all in court. So they're not telling you that they're going to use all this against you when they stop you, which is wrong.
Car.
It is completely wrong. I mean, when they stop you, everybody should be read their rights when they start questioning them, or the police shouldn't even be asking the questions.
All you have to do.
This is what I observed. You agree with it, pay it. If you don't, we'll see you in court.
All you do is when you get pulled over, all you do is hand them your license, registration, and insurance. That's
whatever you're required for.
Yeah.
There, some places don't even require you to hand over insurance.
You do not have to open the window all the way. You can have it cracked only an inch.
Someone will get very upset about that, by the
Oh,
way.
they will, but that's not the law. You opened your window.
Yeah, New Mexico, you have to turn over everything.
So, yeah, there's a lot of states that you do have to turn over,
And they
your
can,
license,
and
registration, and insurance.
and just so you know, I don't know of any state in our union that you can get arrested for failure to identify. It's always a second failure to identify is a secondary charge. You have to be arrested first.
There is circumstances where they could get away with identifying you prior to that, especially if there's a crime involved, or they have actual, suspicion that you have committed a crime. So, like when they pull you over, you're suspected of a crime, so you have to give them your
Well,
license and
yeah,
registration and everything if you're driving. So they're proceeding off of that. It's possibility that you haven't done a single thing to get stopped, but they just want to see who you are. They'll make up something. You see it all the time on the stops where there'll be somebody filming and the person at the end says, "Oh, they stopped me because my tail, not my tail light, my license plate light went off." And the person recording go back to behind the car. There's nothing wrong with their light. So the reason given isn't always why you get stopped. It's a lot of BS stops. They just want to stop people and check them out. Give me your ID. That's their crap, basically. Getting that ID, running you for warrants. Simple arrest, quick arrest, they don't have to look for. That's the way it works for them.
Yeah, last time I got pulled over, it was failure to maintain a lane. And after he let me go, he followed me about 10 miles until I turned into our dirt road. And it's like, I'm watching where I'm going now, dude.
I would have been the ass that I would have done like 10, 15 under the speed limit just to tick them off.
Well, when you're traveling out of state, you're more likely to get targeted by police for false things, speeding or whatever. Especially, let's say I'm here in Colorado, especially if I go out to like Florida or something, and they say, "Oh, let's give this guy a ticket for speeding. He ain't gonna come back and fight it in court." So you have no choice but to pay it or make your way back there. Most of the time, it's cheaper just to pay it. So they do charge people from out of state with things that you haven't even done.
Yeah, that was one of the only things that was good with the whole COVID thing is it proved you can do video court anywhere in the U.S.
Yeah,
because they were all having it. So technically, you don't need to go there. You can do it in video court because they've already proved that it's possible.
It's possible, yes, but they don't like it. They do not like it. They want you there in person, and in person they were forced to not allow that because of the COVID. So now they're back to in person again already. So we'll see. They should allow it, but it's the way they operate. Any other questions?
Been up since 4:30 in the morning. Wow. That's way too early to get up. So does anybody else? Obviously, it looks like John knows something about it. Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that because I'm a motor mouth. And I actually have and I forgot his name, but through Chuck Bronson, he sent me a sticker and a thing that says that I have on my dashboard that says, "Don't talk to the cops." And I try and follow it, but I have a motor mouth.
I'm a smartass to the cops. You know why I pulled you over? Yeah, because I was with your wife last night.
You're a smart ass to everybody.
One time, I got pulled over at night, and he's like, "You know why I pulled you over?" I said, "Yeah, because I'm black." He did a double take. I wish I would have had the video running. It was hilarious. He literally bent down, shined the light him. Like, what the hell?
I take it you're not black.
Nope.
One of the rare ones in Rockford.
I look more like a Middle Easterner.
Yeah. My late husband was one of the first
A guy that could fly an airplane type deal.
to buy a house in Rockford.
I mean, depending on where you buy in Rockford, it's okay. But most of Rockford is just a shithole, especially on the west side of the river. Don't even bother with the west side.
Yeah, because you're on the East Coast. You're in that, like, big city. You don't have these nice, beautiful mountains like we have out here. Of course, Colorado's stealing all the snow. Like, we used to get snow. Not anymore. But the snow came a day too late. I can't believe how close you were to that fire.
Just wait till I go back and show you exactly how close I was. The area is still closed where I was at on the last part of it on the uploaded video that I did for the news.
Yeah.
The house that I was showing you on the right side where the flames were, on the left side there were flames. So you had one house there between me and these fires, right? If I'd gone a little bit farther forward, you would have saw the entire neighborhood in flames, other than that house that I was pointing at.
You're talking about the ones that were in Colorado, right?
Yeah,
The one-
in
the fire that
Boulder.
just what happened?
Yeah, the recent one.
Okay.
So, if you look at the map at the location where I was at, the house was the only thing between me and the whole neighborhood that was on fire. So I want to go back and show during daylight what was on the other side of that house that I couldn't get close to because everything's gone. It's all burned to the ground. Everything. And you're talking about row after row of houses gone.
I'm
So-
kind of surprised that one of the new codes is you have to have a sprinkler system in your house and stuff now. Why don't you have to have a sprinkler system, something to that effect, around your property in the wooded area?
It wasn't
These
wooded.
were wooded. Yeah.
Well,
It
I mean,
wasn't
they were
wooded.
on the side of a mountain. It's classic Colorado mountain. It was wooded, trees
It
everywhere.
wasn't wooded. It wasn't
No?
heavily wooded. No. I mean, you're
I could have
talking
sworn
about
the
a
pictures I saw.
suburban
Well, there's that trees
neighborhood.
at the houses.
I
Yeah,
mean, some of the areas were fields and trees, yes, but I'm talking about the suburban neighborhoods that burned down. You're talking over 900 houses got burned down in that. Just wait till I get out there again when the area's open where I can actually film all these houses that are gone. It's, a normal neighborhood that you find in any city, one house next to each other. It ain't wooded, but every one of them got burned down.
yeah, those winds were just incredible.
Yeah. The winds were howling where I was at that church. Oh, they were bad. They were hitting the power lines above me and making it howl. So when I took that last footage, the winds had died down tremendously. So they were no longer blowing. So I wasn't in that much of a danger. But the amount of heat coming from the fire on the other side of that one house couldn't get any closer. No closer than that. Actually, the house to my right was on fire, and I didn't notice it right away. So it was just fixated on looking straight ahead of me and seeing everything glowing on fire. and then not noticing next to the house on fire. It's like, oh, I didn't get any footage of that one because I get out of the fire guys. Came up to me, said,
I
"You got
know
any
who you
footage?"
remind me of. It's just Bill Murray.
I get called
You
that a lot.
you have a Bill Murray. I've been sitting here going, man, who he looks familiar. Why do I?
I did a audit with Johnny 50. You guys know who Johnny 50 is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched him.
I took him down there to the DEA down in Centennial here, and he introduced me as Bill Murray down there. That
We
was a good audit.
supposedly have an FBI building in downtown that supposedly, if you walk around it, you get arrested.
They ain't gonna
I
arrest you.
I still want to test that. Well, a couple people have in
Yeah.
the past.
I would
I want
test
to
it.
try that sometime. It's
Then
actually a
they
cool looking building, though.
then they've been sued for it, but they've been arrested for walking around it.
Yeah.
So we've been to the FBI building here in Denver, and actually one of the guys did get arrested. They claimed he was drunk. They took him to the drunk tank, for detox, and he was let out of there within an hour. So they just wanted to mess with him, and because they did that, 6 of us showed up there at the FBI, and had a party out in their at the front gate. Eric brought his big speaker, portable speaker, MP3 or Bluetooth speaker, and we just had a blast out there in front of the FBI. They weren't happy about it. Nothing they could do about it, though.
Mhm.
So that's what happens when they messed with us back then. They messed with one of us, all of us would show up. So that isn't the case anymore. Eric's in jail. More than half the crew that was then is now out of state. So there's only a few that's left in the state, or even close to the Denver area. But new auditors and top auditors have popped up in the Denver area since then, too. But that DEA one, they got mad at us. Like Johnny 50 and myself, they got mad at us because we didn't talk to them. We spoke to each other. This guy that looked like Larry the Cable Guy came out from the building and told us that we couldn't record private plates. And we were talking to each other and ignoring him. He got a little upset about it. So they called out the sheriffs. The sheriffs, we did the same thing to them, too. The guy that walked up to the sheriff, Johnny and myself were just talking to each other, ignoring him as the front of the and
Yeah, that really
he
gets
didn't
under
like
their
it.
skin.
It does, because they want answers, and
How dare
you're
you?
not
How dare
talking.
you scoff at their lack of power over you? Is what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. That's not the only one we did that at. We did that at the transmission place up here in Westminster. Westminster police showed up for that one, and lady cop that was standing there, she really hated me. We told her to jump me on the phone for talking to each other. It's like, still here, gentlemen. Like, yeah, we know that she's there, but we're just totally ignoring her. She was not happy with it. But we weren't doing anything illegal. There wasn't any reason that we had to even talk about it, or any of them really. We're out on public sidewalks. So
So what do you
Any
do when? Because I've seen it a couple times where like they'll say that the sidewalk um, is private property.
for what is?
the
Where
sidewalk.
where they tell you that the sidewalk is public property or private property.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We know better though. Everybody knows better that the sidewalks are public. You can't trespass somebody off the sidewalk in front of your own house because of the fact that it's a public sidewalk, even though it's your
So,
property.
so
So,
I've been wanting to test this in my town. The police department takes up 2 city blocks and it goes over the street.
Yeah.
So they park the cop cars in between the 2 buildings. It's cop car parking only. But when you check the GIS, it's a public street.
Yeah.
That's another thing I want to test is walk up and down and just videotape on that street.
Well, do your research on it before you go there. Print out any maps showing it is a public street in case they want to claim that you're on private property. Even though police stations are public property, that's one of the biggest things I've been researching lately is the fact that most places that are public property, they're claiming is private property. And
that's a big problem.
It is becoming a big problem because they're putting things on the public saying, this is private property and you're going to have to leave, you're going to be trespassed and everything like that. And of course, it doesn't make any sense. And the one of the properties I've been looking to is Union Station. If anybody's familiar with Union Station in downtown Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful building.
Yeah. It's been there for quite a while. It's probably a historical building at this point.
Definitely. Union Pacific built it. Way back
in
in the
the
day.
1900
something.
A train guy. A railroad guy.
Yeah, Amtrak operates out of Union Station. They have for a long time. So that's a federal funded company, I guess you could say, because billions of dollars go to Amtrak, keep them in business for public transportation for the citizens. Well, RTD bought, I don't know if they bought or they managed to acquire Union Station as one of their properties. Let's put it that way. So RTD, being the Regional Transportation District, is a public entity here in Colorado. It is part of the state structure for who they are, rather than a city or a county. They're part of a state structure. So this being that they are the trustees of the property. Now, I don't know if anybody's seen like any of the videos of like Monkey 83 or Liberty Freak TV getting arrested down there for protesting, or myself going down there and proving that you can protest, or filming people protesting there, that nobody's getting arrested for protesting there. So I've been in arguments with the security guards about the fact that it's public property. Their argument is RTD owns the property, but the Denver Transit, what was the last part of it? Denver Transit something. Denver Transit Authority or something like that. It's a company. Is the one that's maintaining it. Therefore, they're acting like they lease the property and it's private property. Now, part of my research has uncovered exactly what it is, and it isn't leased out to them. Back early of this century, 2000s, forgot when it was. Governments are trying to figure out a way to build up public transportation or any public property that it's not going to cost them more money. So they came up with what's called a P3 agreement. It's a public-private agreement, basically. So between the public and the private sector, they came to an agreement that the private sector would put in roughly $450 million into this project, and our tax dollars, including a grant from the federal government, made it to over $1 billion for the cost of this project of putting in light rail in 2 lines and also taking care of Union Station. In return for the transit, Denver Transit doing this, of doing the building of it, the maintaining of it, the operating, all the work basically, and their $450 million, they are getting paid back $7.1 billion of our money. That's what they're getting in return for putting in their $450 million.
Wow.
So they're making a huge return over the period of a 34-year period. So they feel that because they now operate it, that means what they say goes, and it's private property according to them. But that's exact opposite of what it is, because in this agreement, RTD maintains all property, and basically everything that has to do with it is still theirs. It's still public property belonging to RTD. So there is no lease agreement that they're saying you're renting this from us to operate it. No, this is an agreement that says you're going to operate this for us, collect the money from people, but all the money goes to us, and we pay you from a separate thing. And there is no lease agreement at all. So it's not like a landlord-tenant relationship. Not at all. So
Well,
they're being paid by our tax dollars to maintain and operate it only. So in name only, they're just operating it for us, for RTD, basically, the people. And now they're saying, well, no, this is our property. You have to leave. You can't protest here, blah, blah, blah. Now, this isn't a unique situation. I found this to be in the majority of public properties now.
Yeah, they just did that to Long Island Audit at the airport.
Yes, that's another one that is just recent.
And that was just bogus. I'm like, dude, how? I'm watching it and going, dude, are the cops really this damn stupid?
They are maintaining that it's private property so they can do what they want. Basically, if they went to court and it went to proof of it, they'd lose in court.
Mm-hmm.
And a good way of proving that is down there in Texas when they had the VA Transit, or what's the name of that one? There's a bus station down there, and James Freeman was there at one time and got trespassed off of it, and so did some others.
Was that big glass building?
It was a big open space where buses stopped, that there was benches there, and it was supposed to be for the people to go there and enjoy, and then take the buses if they wanted and whatnot. And the transit police there came up to him and said, this is private property. You're going to have to leave, or we're going to arrest you for trespassing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what they told him at the time. So they all just left. They didn't fight it. They didn't want to get arrested over it.
Yeah.
Well, what had happened, though, is a few years prior to this, there was a photographer there on the property, and the police started abusing somebody there and were arresting him, and he started to take pictures. They arrested him, and then they ended up paying for it because it's public property, as the lawsuit pointed out. He sued and won over $300 million for it. So their falsehood of claiming all these public properties are private just because they're being operated by a private entity is false. It's not leased to them. It's in a contract with them, not a lease. So it's not a landlord-tenant agreement, which gives their tenant full control of the property. That is not what is happening. It's a contract to operate it, not own it, live on it or whatever.
Like privatized jails.
The what?
It's like the privatized jails.
That's entirely different, because that is private property for those.
Yeah.
That is entirely different. That's like geo prisons. Have one here in Hudson, as a matter of fact, and it is private. It's private property completely. But yeah, they're getting tax money for taking care of prisoners, but it's still private property. But there's a difference there because, you're talking about the public property, like the airport, for instance. That one's completely 100% public property being operated by somebody else. And I looked that up earlier today, last night mainly. They have their own rules and regulations. And there's also criminal penalties for breaking these rules and regulations. Now, I would have to talk to my lawyer about this, but I don't think they actually had the authority to make it a criminal offense for the rules and regulations because it's public property. They're saying it's, trespassing is listed as, if you're asked to leave, you have to leave or you're going to be arrested for trespassing. That's not how it works on public property. But this is in their rules and regulations. So that's very questionable about that particular section. By the way, it doesn't mention a thing about photography in their rules and regulations. It does mention First Amendment activities, though, such as protesting and handing out leaflets, and you have to have their permission and everything, and that it's a limited forum is what they're calling it, but it's still public property. Even though that cop wants to say it's private, it is not. And I'm also running into other properties. Almost all the properties I'm looking at, they're doing things in a way that it shouldn't be done. And some of them can actually be very questionable because there's a case law out of, I'm thinking it was New York. I don't have the papers in front of me. It's basically where the public property was a lake. And on this lake, they had built a tier. And then they leased out this tier to a company that provided boats to the public. And the lawsuit stated that they didn't think that the lease was legal because the fact that it was public property and it was using for private gain. So what it came down to was they had to null the lease on that because of the fact that it was for profit for a private company using public property. Now, I can name several places that, top of my head, that this would apply to in a heartbeat, that it's private companies profiting off of public property, including Union Station. There's a hotel inside Union Station. I don't think that's legal because it's private or public property, and they're treating it as they've leased, which is possible that they have leased it from RTD or from the Denver Transit Group or whatever their name was. Is possible, more than likely, that they do have a lease saying that they can lease it, which means they can treat it as private property and kick you off of it. But you got to remember that the whole thing's public property to begin with. So that the fact that they're making a profit off of it and it's only for their benefit, not the public's benefit, means it's probably illegal. So that's one of the things I've been covering on my research, and I've started to move in that direction on seeing what I can change without going to a courtroom to have things changed. The first thing I'm having or trying to have changed is the fact that RTD needs to admit that Union Station is public property and that filming at it doesn't require their permission, for instance, like their website says. So I have wrote a letter to one of the board members of RTD, and I have not gotten a response yet. They haven't even responded if they got my email to them. So this is getting to be a little bit difficult already. So, but yeah, she knew. I was introduced to her, and I talked to her on an email previously and said, well, give me a little bit of time. I can put it together so that it all makes sense. And then I sent it to her, and this was like the day after Christmas, and I haven't heard anything back yet. But That's not a surprise with all the holidays. So if I can get her to admit that she's gotten it, then they're considering what I'm saying. Because I point out the fact that the photographer down there at the bus station down there in Texas sued them because he was taking pictures and he was arrested for it. And they were found, had to pay millions of dollars. I'm like, look, this should not be being said that this is private property. This should be said that it's public property. You can avoid these lawsuits like this because of the fact that you already knew this. You're the trustee of the public land. As the trustee of the public land, you're responsible for making sure that it's open to the public. It shouldn't be for private gain ever. So that brings me to many other places that I've also been looking into, such as Dick's Sporting Goods Arena in Commerce City. That sits on top of Commerce City land. Commerce City put in $50-some million improvements around the area there, and Conti Entertainment put in like $58 million, and they built this arena on top of it, and it is now considered private property because it's leased to Conti. So we're back to the lake with the docks being, the tiers being leased out for boating. Well, it's the same thing with that place. Now, the reason I'm interested in that place is because Adams County says, well, we don't have the money to get our body cameras for our officers, like I have there. We don't have the money for it. We got to figure out how we're going to pay for all this. It's like, we don't have the money. And they have to have them, too, by next year. And they're going to wait till the last minute no matter what. And I'm like, looking at this property, it's like, how much are they paying on taxes on that property for leasing it? And there's, $60, $80 million of improvements to this land. And according to Colorado state law, at least the part that I found, when property is leased like that, the person leasing it has to pay taxes on it as if they own it. In other words, the property is no longer exempt from property taxes. But that's why it's on the city land, so they can avoid those taxes. Because if it's on their land, they'd be paying full taxes. But
I want someone to look into New York, because I never got how they could take the street and turn it into outside dining. Because that's definitely 100% public land.
That same lawsuit would apply to that one too, by the way. Because if they're saying that they're now leasing the public street or public sidewalk to them, that would be illegal because it's for their profit.
Yeah.
So that same lawsuit would apply to that. You could take that property back, that any lease agreement that they came up with to lease the public street to them would be illegal. So, I mean, they're trying to help out the businesses by giving them more room so that they can deal with the COVID issues. We already know why they did it. So,
yeah, but that still doesn't make sense, because all they're doing is on the street, they're building walls with doors and a roof and windows, which makes it inside dining.
Really?
You're inside a building. Yeah, they got roofs and windows and doors that lock and everything. So you're inside a building that's on the street.
I would be all over that.
And I've been trying to, like, Louis Rossman, he goes around and did a bunch of videos during COVID about the shacks on the street. And I kept asking him, like, dude, to me that's illegal. That's highly illegal. Because they're making money on private or on public property.
Yeah. Well,
they're taking up a parking spot.
Here's another instance that will just blow your mind then. Well, you know that they're doing that there. You know what they're doing in Denver, for instance, with all this public property, the sides of the roads that are easements and public right-of-way, where all the homeless are staying. They're closing them off.
Yeah.
Nobody can use it. So
Well,
know,
just 3 doors down from my house, we're in the county. We're not in a city, so we have no sidewalks or anything.
yeah,
And according to the GIS, the property line is like maybe 10 or 15 feet from the building, which leaves like maybe 20 or 30 feet to the street that's public property. Yet
right.
the house a couple doors down, asphalted along the street, put parking spaces so they could park, and a sign saying if you park here, you're going to get towed at owner's expense. I'm going to be calling the county and asking how are they authorized to tow from public property?
Yeah, yeah, that one would be an interesting one. But the only way you bring that one up, of course, is if you take your car there, park it, and have it towed before you can bring it into court, more than likely.
You don't
Well, no,
want
I wouldn't even bring it in court. What I want to do, I haven't done it yet. I'm going to bring it up to the county.
Yeah, you
The
can do it
county
that
might
way,
not
but
even know they're doing this.
probably not. Probably not. People
And
do
it
things until
sucks.
they're told different.
Well, what the kick is? They have the longest driveway on the whole street because
Yeah,
they have. It's like a house that the garage is in the back of the house, so
yeah,
they got like a 15-car long driveway, where everyone else only has a 1-car driveway.
yeah. Start with permits. Check with their permits. What permits they applied for.
There you go.
out here it's
Building.
what permit?
Building permits for doing their
Yeah.
driveway. That's the permit you want to look for first. So what got approved by the city for being able for them to improve the land, that's where you start.
Okay.
Of course, the second one would be the GIS mapping. Of course, you can do that at any time. The
Yeah, GIS.
mapping-
This is the public land goes beyond the the actual border between private and public is between the parking spots and the building. The parking spots are totally on public land.
Well, that is in itself isn't illegal, other than the fact that they're saying that it's their parking only.
Yeah,
So
but
that would be the issue.
I don't like the guy anyway. Well, one day I go over there because we had a big snow, and I'm helping him. He's shoveling it, pushing it out into the street. So I'm like, okay. So I go into I'm taking my shovel, picking it up from the street, and throwing it on the sides of. What the hell are you doing? Like, I'm helping you shovel, you dork. What does it look like I'm doing? I'm painting the roof.
Properly.
Anyways, back to where I was on Adams County and their body cameras that they don't have yet. I found out that Dick's Sporting Goods Arena, which is in Adams County, is only paying a pittance on the property. The county records show it as being unimproved, and that the value of the land is a fraction of what it is because, you got this 60, 70, $80 million arena on it, and it listed as no buildings on it. And they said to me, well, you'll have to talk to the city of Commerce City to find out what their agreement was. And I'm thinking, why should it matter what agreement they have? According to the state, they're supposed to pay property taxes on that as if they own it, even if they're leasing it, because it's, that's the way it is when it comes to government property. So because it shows the value of the land only being, I don't know, $20,000 or something like that, not the $60, $80 million that it is. They're only paying like $2,000 a year on property taxes on it, and they should be paying closer to like $2 million.
Yeah, if a normal person tried to get away with that,
Yeah,
we could never get away with that.
yeah. So they have full control of that land and pay a pittance of it, and the county says, well, they're only paying on what they're leasing it for, what they're leasing the property for. That's what they're paying the taxes on. I'm like, that ain't right. That ain't how the law is written. and I can't get the county to change anything because they're like, "Oh, we're behind," and they were getting upset at me when I was in there. So I'm questioning them about it. I'm like, "How come this property isn't listed but it's really worth?" And it's like, "Yeah, I realize that it's city property, and they don't pay taxes on it themselves. Is that why it's not getting listed at its proper value? Because they leased it out, and it's now completely 100% private property, which they're going to get upset if they get that lease nullified, and they no longer, Conti no longer controls it. They make millions of dollars every concert that they hold there, every soccer game that they hold there. City
That
of
could be their income to get their cameras right there.
City of
If
Palm
it's
City,
done right.
or the Village
Okay.
of Palm City, I think it is. They bend over backwards for that place because they get money too from it.
Yeah.
Some because they have to hire the police to control the event, but you can't walk on that property without getting arrested for trespassing. If they told you to be. So it's like, yeah, so much for public property.
S has a good question, and I have my own answer. What is the hardest part of cop watching?
The hardest part of it, not getting arrested.
That's along my line. It's the hardest thing I think is a cop telling you something is illegal when you know it's not.
Yeah, I've been in arguments with cops before. So there's been a few times where I've yelled at them because I know they were in the wrong. There was one time I've been put in cuffs now. In Westminster, I stopped to film a structure fire, and they didn't like it. Didn't like it one bit. Like, you got to clear out of here. It's dangerous here. Like, why is it dangerous here? And I was like, oh, we've been watching these wires arc over there for the last 15 minutes. And these wires that they're talking about are well over 100 feet away from the spot where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, well, that doesn't look dangerous to me from where I'm standing. They didn't agree with that, of course. And they said I was obstructing by not moving to where they wanted me, where I couldn't see what was going on that way. So they were preventing me from exercising my freedom of press to capture the story, the video. And then they find that I was breaking the law by not moving when they asked me to, obstructing. By the way, you can only obstruct physically. You can be an obstacle, but that means you're actually physically in the way of them going back and forth. Not standing out there at the sidewalk where nobody was walking. So I wasn't obstructing in any way, shape, or form. I knew the moment they put me in the cuffs that I would be charged if they actually knew it. And then they walked me over 25 feet where I couldn't see what was going on at all, and they said, you can stand here. And while I'm still in handcuffs, they pulled out my wallet, took out my ID, violating my Fourth Amendment right. So they ran my ID, my name, to see if I had any warrants. Not even probable cause, or even the legal right to go into my pocket and pull my ID out, especially since they didn't arrest me. I didn't object too much at the time because of the fact that I was in cuffs. What are you going to say when you're in cuffs? They're saying, no, you're cuffed up for obstruction. I was under the assumption I was already under arrest. If I was under arrest, I couldn't have any objection to them going in and getting my ID. But all of a sudden, I'm not under arrest. Wait a minute, guys. It's like I was looking forward to that ride down to their jail. And, we're still going to film them. Beside the fact.
My favorite thing is the fact that, according to the Supreme Court, a police officer's job is not to serve and or protect you.
Yeah, it's true. That's what my argument was, is the fact that my safety was my own responsibility.
Yeah.
And they proved it in the Supreme Court. Gonzalez versus Castle Rock is one of the cases where they said that you can't sue us just because you called us and and told us this. It's like we're not responsible for your safety, and the Supreme Court has upheld this. So therefore, when I'm standing there, my safety could have been held conserved on that team. I don't care what they said, you know. As a matter of fact, they can ignore the fact that you're in danger. They can inform you, sure, but they can ignore it completely, even to the point that they kill you and not get sued for it because they've informed you. So you're responsible. You are responsible for your own safety, no matter what. So whatever crap that they try to give you, like saying, you know, you got to move here, it's usually just to keep you away from seeing what they're doing. You know, not for the fact of safety. Most of the time, they care less about if it's safe or not. Look what happened at the school, Florida officer that didn't go running towards danger. They could $1,000 and said that he wasn't responsible for the safety of the public, and so it was upheld that he couldn't be sued. Same with Officer Las Vegas. One floor down, he advanced towards the fire to get the under arrest for preventing fire on other people anymore. You couldn't sue him either. They're not responsible for your safety.
I actually have a video with something like that. I was at a fire, and they had no problem with the fire, because I was like maybe 100, 200 feet down the street.
Yeah.
But I was by train tracks, and the gates came down because the train was coming, and I'm on the correct side of the gate, and the cop's like, "Hey, you got to move back. You're gonna get hit." And I'm like, "Dude, it's none of your responsibility. What I was trying to do is get a shot of the train coming straight at me."
Right.
Since I was there.
Right.
And he literally walked in front of me between the gate and started walking towards me, pushing me with his body.
Yeah.
At one point.
They do some crazy things when they want to get you to do things that they want. So, like my case, they put me in the handcuffs, moved me 25 feet, took out my and then uncuffed me and left me there. So they didn't charge me with anything.
Well, you must be free to go. I'd go right back to where I was.
I knew if I did, they would put me back in the cuffs and they would have taken me in. But I'm like,
I would have pushed the issue.
I already have the case. You got to understand, you don't have to go to jail for them to violate your rights and to win a case.
Yeah, but isn't that just more money, though?
If you're after the money,
because that could be considered illegal detainment also.
It was already illegal detainment. They already put me in the cuffs. Yeah. They had already put me in the cuffs, said you took them up for obstruction. So the one thing there that would have got me for obstruction is if I was between the firemen and the fire.
Yeah.
If I was in their way. But the policemen, nah. I wasn't in their way because it wasn't their job to go fight the fire. They said their job was to keep this area clear. The moment that they uncuffed me, they all disappeared from the area that they were supposed to keep clear. So, what does that tell you? They weren't there to keep you clear. No?
Nope, they just wanted to find out who you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they could do what's those reports? The fusion report stuff.
Mm-hmm. Fusion Center?
Yeah.
Yeah, they love the Fusion Center.
Yeah.
I've been to the Fusion Center building here in Colorado. So, talked with them guys a little bit.
That's a guy I miss watching, though. The one that always used to talk about the fusion centers. The dude, he wears a fishing hat.
Fishing hat?
Yeah.
You're not talking about
Southern guy. Houston. News Now Houston.
Well, he ain't here. But he's down in Texas. But
yeah. He I love the video when he goes and stands at the light, the street light pole, the stoplight, the red, green, yellow stoplight pole. He's standing at that, and the oil refinery place came out and trespassed him and had him arrested.
Yeah.
Because he was on, quote unquote, their property. And it's like, dude, it's not your property, though.
Mm-hmm. We see it a lot. You already know. You
I'm a
watch
firm
the
believer.
videos.
I don't think a cop should be able to get a private security job
I agree with that.
because they
Badge should
still
not
have their
be for
cop
hire.
powers.
A badge should not be for hire.
Yeah.
So the fact that they do allow that and they do it all the time and they make a lot of money doing it just goes to show how corrupt that our policing system is. That they can make more money from a side job wearing a badge that's provided by our government for their own gain. Shouldn't be allowed.
See, and man, the way I look at it, that's like that has to be some kind of a scam or something, like
Yeah.
under the law, falls under scamming or something like that.
You mean
Because
like Rico?
they're literally taking the training and everything that we pay for and using it and their powers that we give them as
You
public
mean
servants in private jobs.
you're talking about like Rico?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. So yes, they're using our equipment for private gain, for one. And yeah, there's a lot of questionable things that they do and they get away with. But
Oh, did you
it's the
hear?
good old boys club, and it's been that way for a long time, and that's why everybody wants to change. You already
You,
know that.
I don't know if you know him. I can't remember his name. James, I think it's James something. The guy that's police impersonation guy in Florida
Oh,
on the motorcycle.
DeWitt,
He did, huh?
DeWitt.
Yeah, he got arrested again.
He's in jail. He's already been convicted. He's in jail now.
I just saw a video posted the other day where he was in court and they let him out. They gave him a bond again.
No, he's been recently convicted, from what I
Good.
remember.
And I think they should work on the drunk drivers.
Because what he used to do, that was freaking scary, man. He used to pull people over and crap, and
Yeah,
and
he did go beyond his authority. I mean, it's not the first time that people go beyond their authority. I've seen it myself.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I've gotten a ticket for park curfew on a public sidewalk.
You got a
That
ticket for what?
Park curfew on a public sidewalk out there at the
Park
street.
curfew. Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
They're stepping over their authority,
That's
and
total
because
BS.
it's an administrative ticket, so far they've gotten away with it. And I haven't been able to get a lawyer to take it to put them back in their place. So your little kangaroo court that I went to, which is on my channel by the way, which I should have won, they said I didn't win. So they lied like hell in their answer to the hearing, saying that this happened, blah, 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 and didn't even mention the legal challenge that I gave them. Under the Denver Revised Municipal Code, under Chapter 39, is what they operate under for parks and recreation. But under Chapter 42, which is at the time, was at the time, Public Works. And I had it in black and white, in ink, saying that the public right-of-way is the responsibility of Public Works. And I was standing in the public right-of-way. So this is in the code of the city, mind you, in their books, in the law books. But in Parks and Rec paperwork, they have their own stuff, and only part of it is incorporated into the law book. The part that isn't incorporated is on their own books. One of those things says adjacent sidewalks to the park belong to the park as a definition. And they use that to say sidewalk belongs to them, which is completely wrong. And I challenged them that on the hearing. And in their answer, saying they're wrong, they never even mentioned
Something happened to your speaker or your mic.
Huh?
Something happened to your mic. You're really
Oh.
quiet.
I don't know what.
Is it just my side, Poeseewi? Poeseewi?
Did I get quieter?
Now you're echoing more.
Echoing.
Yeah, it's really weird. It just started like all of a sudden.
That's
You
kinda
went-
weird.
Soprano.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
higher.
really high pitched. It sounds tinny, and to me, it sounds quiet.
Huh.
Must be the CIA. Where's Vinny?
Oh God, no. We have a most wonderful friend who is definitely a flat earther.
We can't introduce him to Vinny yet. We gotta break him in first.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it could be just a signal there. Signal
could
is
be.
always the best here. So,
You've been hitting the helium. Okay. Do you think cop watching will ever become not needed, or will there always have to be a third-party arbitrator?
there always had to be somebody watching them. If there's nobody watching to hold them accountable, they'll do anything that they want, which in a lot of places they're already doing, which is why they need to be watched.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And do you think that it could be implemented into the system,
that they
or
can what?
should it be implemented into the system, or should it remain separate?
Implement it how?
Well, you can't have the cops watching the cops.
No, that's what the watchers watch the watcher. The watched watch the watchers. Is how it usually goes.
You mean like them investigating themselves and finding themselves that they've done nothing wrong?
Even though they beat the crap out of someone with a brick or something. Yeah.
Yeah. They've been doing that for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Watching themselves. That's why we don't see most of the stuff. They don't want you to see it. You know? It's bad when you can go to, like, the sheriff of Adams County. I did an interview with him not that long back. I also did an interview with a public information officer. He made himself famous on this.
Okay, S said try removing you and adding you back, and that might fix the sound.
Adding me back?
Yeah, she's gonna pop you back. She's gonna pop you in the back room and then bring you back up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see. Is that better?
I don't know yet. You tell me.
No.
I didn't think so. Probably the signal here.
No, now it's better.
A little.
Hey, Mad Cat.
Actually, yeah, it is a little bit better.
It's probably the signal here.
Oh, there. Now you're perfect.
Okay.
Oh no, now it's back again. Ow.
The joys of internet.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just thinking about this. They should get rid of all judges and put the judge's spot as AI.
But
Because
yeah,
the AI would be programmed with the law and it would follow the law.
that wouldn't work so well.
No?
No, I don't believe so because judges have more leeway, and if they're not abusing it, it can be a good thing. If they're abusing it, it's a bad thing, of course. So you can have good judges and bad judges. We already see that. But if you got one that, no matter what, there is no leeway, then sometimes there is no justice.
Because I've seen judges, they're presented with evidence and they don't even consider it.
That happens a lot. So even in my own hearing for that parks curfew one, I'm trying to present evidence and they didn't want to hear it. Like, for instance, they accepted into their record that the zoning map of the area was good enough that they control the area. And I objected to that. So when I wanted to bring up questions of zoning, they said, well, he doesn't know anything about zoning. You can't bring that question up. I'm like, well, strange that they would use zoning as, their area, showing that that's what they control. If they're claiming they're, using this, and why wouldn't they know about zoning? Especially since zoning only tells you what's allowed on the property, not who controls it. Only what's allowed to be built on it, for instance. And that property happened to be marked open space. But they're the Parks and Rec, so, they don't have to answer that question. But can't bring it up because, my question was going to be to him about trespassing somebody from a public sidewalk in front of his own house. Why he couldn't do it. It's his property.
And zoning doesn't show property lines. It's not a property line style map. It's a what you can use it for map, like you said.
Right.
You would have to look at the GIS map, which is property line map.
Right, which they won't use. So they won't use a proper map to prove that it's their property because the property line shows it inside of the sidewalk, where it's inside of the public right of way, where I was at. They don't want to use that because that automatically says that I'm not guilty of it. So they don't want to use that. They want to use a BS map like zoning.
I would have been held in contempt of court with that judge because I would have went back to the table. I would have went back to my table, draw up a map, and go, I want to submit this because this map is as good as that map that they're using, and it shows that there's a McDonald's on that property, and you have no standing.
Okay, I am not sure if our friend in GRB, you're in New Zealand, right? Or no, Australia. I can't remember.
Oh, there's a good question.
Are your U.S. judges elected positions? I think that some are.
It depends on the level of the judge.
Yes, it depends. Most
city judges are hired. I think city judges are hired.
Well,
county judges are elected.
A lot of them, yes.
And same with state judges are elected.
Yes. And the Supreme Court is appointed.
Yeah.
They get appointments, but that's coming from the president and Congress, and So
I gotta read this. I gotta read this question. He's coming up with all these good questions. Will Ghostwriter ever set up a fish tank? Because S is fish all the time. If it's not about fish, he's like, picking his nose.
Cat. My cat would love to see a fish tank. So if I could teach her to take care of the fish, that would be great. But her way of taking care of the fish not be the same way I think of taking care of the fish. You know what I mean?
Yep. Hey, it's a circle of life.
Dinner for her is compared to, no, you were supposed to feed the fish, not eat the fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because some of the very expensive fish, like I know where Discus come from, they eat them. And they're very expensive fish to buy in the United States, all of good quality. And people just are horrified that people eat the African, cichlids from Lake Malawi. But, my fish cost $60. And it's like they live there and they go fishing and they eat them.
Yeah. It's like a bass or a trout here, or a bluegill. That's what they are. Same thing with Discus in the Amazon. Discus is actually really good. I've had it.
Yeah, fish watching is fun, but so is
Top watching is so much more entertaining though.
Yeah, I've actually learned a lot from these guys, and at first, I've had fish for a long time, and I started watching accidents, and then I fell upon an auditor in New Mexico, and I asked him a few questions, and it got me intrigued. And then, so I started looking, and you can really learn a lot about how different departments work. And there's, there is corruption in every department. And I agree with Ghost that I don't like encryption because they are hiding transparency.
When we went to Encryption here in Winnebago County in Rockford, they started labeling all the shootings medical assists.
So you couldn't listen to the EMS. Oh,
No, you can listen to the EMS side, but the police side, when you like would request the call log, all the shootings would say medical assist because they're trying to make the shootings here less in the national average. They're trying to make the town seem safer than what we have. 4, 5, 6 shootings a day here.
Wow.
In the little town of Rockford.
Wow. I'd be
Getting pretty bad.
I'd be bringing that to light to the people. They
don't want to listen. We tried. We had a guy run for mayor, and his number one thing was, I will unencrypt the dispatch channel. That was his like running point.
Right.
Because they should not be encrypted. He didn't win.
Exactly, Mad Cat.
He didn't win?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mad Cat says he could write a book on what he's learned from watching audits. And I was really surprised because I always considered where I live, Espanola, which is near Chimayo, which for like 25 years in a row has the highest per capita heroin overdoses. I mean, a 10-year-old down the street does heroin because, it's a generational mom does it, grandpa does it, great-grandpa does it, everybody does it.
You know what? I think my neighbor is running for your whole town, is running against your whole town. Because they're over there literally 2-3 times a week now. And they have yet to be arrested for it. They keep giving them this $1,500 shot, and they haven't arrested them for ODing yet. Why? If you're ODing, to me, that means you have drugs in your system of some kind.
Yeah.
ODing is illegal.
Well, what surprised me is
what makes it illegal?
Because it would be it's from illegal drugs.
Yeah, but
so it would be
no
illegal.
Longer have the drugs. How are you going to prove it?
They still in your system. If you're ODing, they're in your system, obviously.
Yeah, but they don't care.
I got really cynical once I moved here. Honestly, nowadays I think, okay, if you OD once, okay, we'll save you. You OD twice, no, we'll watch you. We'll just stand there and watch you.
That's basically what they're doing with that.
I know that sounds bad to just watch someone die, but I mean, how much money do you actually? $1,500 a pop, and that's just for the shot. That's not for the fire department and the police and everything coming out and doing the work and all. Each call is roughly $100,000.
My last cop watch was at Walmart, and I went over on my scooter. Well, we got there, and the police and fire department was over next to one of the other stores. And we went in, we were probably inside for over an hour. We came out, all the cops and stuff were still there. And my roommate says, yeah, there was some guy slumped over. And that's when we realized that they were waiting for the coroner because the guy who had been sitting there had died from an overdose. And they're waiting for the coroner to show up. And it's like, it's too common here. I went to the dentist and I got 3 Vicodin, and they gave me Narcan, and it's like 3 Vicodin and you're giving me Narcan? Is that so I could save somebody else? It's, I don't know. There's just,
S.
Been there,
I
done
once,
that. Way
I
overrated.
once touched an electrical wire in the wall, and I got an electrocution from it.
And you learn not to stick the tweezers back in the electrical socket. Took me twice. Okay, guys, it's been 2 hours. And I have to wake up early in the morning and go get drained of blood.
Make sure to get filled too.
Yeah. Well, I changed. My doctor left, and so I decided to get a closer doctor. And if I prescribe you medication, you got to take it because I'm concerned about your health. And it's like, okay, I'm out of my insulin. I'm out of my weekly insulin. I'm out of my pill insulin. 2 months later, I still don't have it. So I know my blood sugar was like sky high. So I changed doctors. And I have to go, get a baseline now that I have all my medications back. Because I really am not ready to, have my kidneys fail or, something else. I'm starting to have fun. And, it's like, I want to take care of my health. But if you prescribe insulin that I need, give it to me. It's like, yes, I'm exhibiting drug-seeking behavior. Give me my insulin. So, got to go have blood taken. And since it's fasting, it has to be early and it's an hour away. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And anyway, you guys, you can check out Ghost Rider's channel. He's really awesome. And in my opinion, he is a true gentleman, which is one of the reasons why I invited him. I mean, I don't even watch my semi-local cop watchers because they're the kind who yell at cops. And I've asked him, I wanted to go cop watching. I volunteered to buy them dinner, whatever. Do they ever respond to me? No. I'm not. I'm just a little person. But the only way us little people can learn is if somebody answers our questions.
Pretty much.
Well, that's why I appreciate you, because you do answer questions and you explain what's going on and things to do and to avoid. And you're just a very nice gentleman about it.
Thank
and
you.
there should be more cop watchers like you.
Well, I'm not there to cause them the
Awesome.
problems. So I get away with watching them without much of a hassle because I'm not there to judge them on the spot. My audience can judge them all they want. I'm there just to record the events that are happening. So only they can make themselves look bad. So they tolerate me because they usually go on their best behavior when I'm around. The question is, what do they do when I'm not around? So
Yeah, well, you can't get them when you're not around. And the
Exactly.
encryption often helped.
yeah, the Adams County Sheriff, when they went encrypted, I asked him why they went encrypted. He gave me a story that, some guy that they were facing and worried about his health that they were doing a welfare check on was mocking him because he was listening to him on the radio and not going to them and talking to them. So that
Yeah,
made him upset that he couldn't do a welfare check. I don't think that's the case. I think some of the stuff that I was covering of them doing was starting to bother them because I was covering them quite a bit. So I give them a break now and then with welfare and did other cities like Common City or didn't want to stay completely that. But I think I had a lot to do with people and a lot of people that on.
Okay, a scanner S is what you listen to um, to hear the calls for the police and fire department EMS. A
Yeah,
cop watcher will go to the calls and film what is going on.
we'll listen to the scanner too. Of course, that's how we get to the calls a lot of times, unless we're just driving around looking for them. Places that are encrypted that you can't tell where they're at. So,
Yeah, because like where I live, everything's encrypted.
yeah.
So it's
Not
sort of
everything. Your EMS probably is not encrypted, and your fire probably is not encrypted.
I just need a real scanner to find them.
No, you should be able to do Broadcastify and
No, they're
listen to
not
the.
listed.
Huh?
They're not listed.
Oh, okay. So yeah, sometimes it takes a real scanner. See, I went from listening to Broadcastify with being delayed to listening to a real scanner with no delay. And the fact that I went to a real scanner, I can plug in what I want to listen to. So I can listen to fire and EMS around the whole area, as well as the city police that I can hear all at the same time. As compared to Broadcastify, it would only have the fire and EMS for one section here, and the police were here, and you can't combine them basically unless you got multiple devices to listen to them. But a scanner, you can plug in whatever you want to listen. So I can definitely listen to a broader area of exactly what I want to listen to.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming. You were wonderful.
Yep. Well, I don't know how many are actually watching us, but
Well, right now 9. I mean, I'm still a small person,
yeah,
but
people watch it after.
yeah,
So
and I think it is an important subject.
I have quite a variety of videos, including my park curfew ticket. The hearing was recorded by me, and it's up there. And the result of the hearing is also posted up there. If you're interested in that one. I've done protests. I've covered
And he
many
has
protests.
videos of his kitty.
Poeseewi,
Yeah,
you should
videos of your kitty and the wigglefish.
Oh yeah, how much
I
my
remember when
cat.
you first got the fish.
hey Poeseewi,
What?
you should post the link to his channel.
Oh, yeah. I actually have it.
But I've been at many protests. I've seen the police do many horrendous things to people during protests. Some of my footage made nationwide coverage, including on the James Colbert show. I don't know if you knew that. The footage I took at Colfax and Broadway during the protests when they shot up the couple's car, that one went nationwide on the footage for it. So it's not like I'm unknown, but I'm not that well known yet.
Okay. I will post the link for his channel also on the description of this. So if you want to check it out later, it'll be there. Hey, Larry, you're late.
Hopefully, sometime in the future, I will have my investigative pieces up for issues like with the Union Station and everything.
Ups.
So I
Can
still
you?
make a story out of it and post it up. I haven't gotten any results yet. So when I start getting some results on some of that, I'll start making stories and go public with it and find reading public property, but they're finding this private property.
You're hitting the helium again. But anyway, I'm going to get going, you guys. Thank you all for coming and listening and for asking questions. And please definitely visit Ghost Channel. And -5 wind chills. Too cold. Larry, where are you? I know that you're not in or are you in New York still? You're not in New York. Yes? No? Good New York Jew. Buffalo, New York. Okay, yeah, it's cold there.
Oh, just wait.
Oh, just wait. Hey,
Yeah.
there's only 50 days left until the spring comes.
They got a huge snowstorm going to be hitting them soon.
Ugh. Yeah, oy vey. You're taking all the snow.
Oh,
Actually,
we're getting, well, no, because they're getting a snowstorm. We're getting a snowstorm over by me, too. They're two different snowstorms, though.
well,
So.
someone better send the snow this way.
I already did. You know how much I had to pay in shipping for that?
Yeah, I know. I
Jeez.
appreciate it.
It's really expensive to ship a storm.
Yeah,
That's why they
no
finally
reason
got
to
it there.
insult me,
It was already
Rochester. Yeah. Okay, gotta go, guys. Thank you. And I will see you all next Monday. And
Have
thank
fun.
you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you all. And I will see you all later. So long, and thanks for all the fish.